All right, welcome to Rivals on the Pitch podcast, episode 6. Thank you for stopping by and giving us a listen. We have a packed episode for you today. We'll be going over match week 2, and then we'll also discuss the upcoming games for match day 3, and of course, the mini league and our places. My name's Pat.
I'm Randy.
I'm Alan.
And let's get this going. Let's start with the first game, which was Saturday. Brighton and Hove Albion hosting Manchester United. We spoke about this on the last episode, how Manchester United seemed like they were making the same mistakes on that first game, the opening game. It seemed like they got lucky. I don't want to take too much credit away from them, but it seems like they got a little lucky with that goal. And that kind of saved them, just like the FA Cup saved their season last season. And we mentioned how this game could essentially expose them because Brighton have a pretty good squad. They're gelling. They had a good preseason. They beat Everton 3-0, and now they took it to, they were hosting Manchester United, and I think they did what they had to do.
Honestly, it's what I expected. Manchester United, they're basically the same. They're basically carrying over from last season to this season. Of course, Brighton were playing at home, so of course they have advantage. It was competitive at certain points. Brighton got lucky with that offside goal. It's just a typical fashion. Man United, they're the ones to blame for losing it. They basically lost it, and that's the story of the game for Man United. They can't win away. And if you can't win away, you can't get a point. How are you going to be challenging for the top 6, top 4, for the title?
Yeah, I think also Brighton, their managers got them going pretty good. Danny Welbeck again, scoring another goal. I don't want to say, like you said, their goal, their victory last week against Fulham was lucky. I think, they put the effort. It wasn't a deflection. It was purposeful football play that they were able to score from, capitalize from. But I don't know, this game, I watched most of it, and it just seemed like Brighton was ready to put them away at any moment. Man United had a few breakout moments here and there, but yeah, it's still not gelling from last season to this season. It's still, something hasn't changed. They're still the same United we've been seeing, even with the new additions that they have on that team.
But we'll get to the Chelsea game, but I think Chelsea's one of the teams that they're probably competing against to try to climb up back to European football. And, it looks like they're falling behind. And this is probably a big loss because it's going to cost them down the line. As we mentioned, momentum is so important, especially when you start off the season on the right foot. You want to carry that on because eventually every team's going to hit a little rough spot. And it seems like they're starting with it, which is not good for morale.
The stars of the Manchester United squad were the young kids. Ahmad, who played well on the right, who scored the goal. Xerxes, Garnacho, Miano. They were the ones who were the stars. And I expected that more from like Marcus Rashford, who is silent. Casemiro was okay. Bruno Fernandes was all right. But those people that you're supposed to, rely on were basically non-existent. The young ones were the ones who outplayed them and kept them in the game. If it wasn't for that offsides, it could have been a totally different story. The young ones were the ones who scored the second goal, but then it was rolled offside. But if it wasn't for them, I don't think they would have been that as competitive as one would have thought.
Yeah, they definitely have a bright future with those players, but they need some time.
Yeah, no, I was going to say it's funny seeing the performance difference. I mean, Harry Maguire between this game and last game, and then I know it's not all his fault, but with Xerxes, they were both went from basically heroes to zeros in this game. Harry Maguire defending kind of allowed that goal, and then Xerxes or Z, he's the one that got the other goal disallowed. So is it run of bad luck, or is it just bad game management? Who knows? We'll see.
It just looks too much like last season, so I can't say that it's just bad luck. Even if that goal would have counted, the game would have ended 2-2. And is that really good for Manchester United? I mean, I know Brighton's a good side, so I think everyone's going to have a tough time going up against them this season. But you expected better than last season, and it seems like it's a lot of the same.
And it doesn't even matter. It's the name, Manchester United. You're supposed to beat these teams, Brighton, Fulham, and all these those lower teams, because of the name. It carries a high name value to it. And if you can't do it against Brighton, who can you beat? It's not looking good for them.
Regulation? Relegation? Oh, I can't even say it.
Maybe a new coach. I don't think he's gonna last that long, man. I don't care if he got that new contract and got all the players he wants.
No, no, no,
If
no,
it's gonna look like this,
no, no, no. You guys gave him his flowers. You gotta watch it. You gotta see it through.
let's see.
I commend them for sticking around because, like I said, you would think that someone would take that FA Cup and just say, "All right, cool, got a trophy, moving on." I think that would have been a good note to end the ties with Manchester United. But like I said, I commend them for sticking around and believing in himself. I don't believe in
Yeah,
him,
I
but
don't believe in him.
I, he's sticking around. They're giving him a little bit more trust, and he's saying, I can do the job. That takes confidence. Sometimes it's not good, but he believes in himself.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think too often we see organizations, teams just give up on their manager and they just continuously just go through managers and they're getting nowhere. It's a new concept, a new philosophy that they're bringing in, strategy, and it's just if it's just in and out, you're not really building a foundation. So it might not be the best for them in the future, but I would think it's best to keep him for now, see where this season leads, and then move forward. Because if every year you're going through a new manager, you're not. It's not good for the players.
You're not developing.
And it's still early to be honest. It's just 2 games in. They had a win and a loss, so they're still in there. It's not too much to catch up still. And then you got the
Yeah.
international break in September, so it gives them a little time still. It's not lost yet, but just to start, it's not looking as good as one expects when you think of Manchester United.
They're coming from eighth place last season, so any improvement is improvement. You know what I mean? If they finished within the top six, that would be a big step towards. But at the same time, the season prior, I think they were in the top four somehow. But hey,
I don't think that's fair. Taking consideration the amount of money they're putting into the squad and everything they're putting in to just say, challenging for top six is okay. I think with what they want from that team and what they've invested, I don't think. Well, yeah, I think
An FA Cup isn't enough.
right, and then six shouldn't be like something you're praising, but it's within range of where they should be at.
Yeah, but with the money they're spending and the name, they should be challenging for second place, the titles, Champions League. They shouldn't be settling to try to get into the fifth or fourth place Champions League. The name carries so much weight that what is expected of you are titles, not the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup.
Tigers Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just think they're so far from that. I mean, think about how hard it is to win the Champions League. Think about how hard it is to win the Premier League. I mean, 1 out of 7 for Liverpool. Arsenal are now in their third season chasing it. They're just so far from being that competitive team. The first thing they got to focus on is consistency.
And you can't get consistent if you keep trading, if you keep getting new managers, which is why you got to stick with Eric De Hagen at the moment. Hopefully, he can turn things around. But it's hard to get consistent when you're switching. Just look at Chelsea. How many coaches they've gone through.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to, and we could just lightly touch on this one. Crystal Palace at home against West Ham. This is Crystal Palace, the second home game of the season. And once again, they were not able to pull anything. They actually didn't even score in this game. Both goals came from West Ham in the second half. Thomas Suchek and Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen, he's a weird one. He's a big player for West Ham. I think he's effective. I think he had gotten a call up or was close to getting a call up for the England squad. I don't think he played, but he's so effective. But weirdly enough, I don't think any other team would take him on.
Honestly, I think Liverpool are actually looking at Bowen
Oh yeah.
for a point. Yeah, like as a future replacement for Salah. But I mean, like I said, West Ham, they got good players, they got good signings, and Bowen, he was pretty consistent last season. I think he was one of his top players. And then you got Socek, who is also a good buy for West Ham. I mean, I think West Ham is on the up with the signings they got and to win away at Crystal Palace. I think it's going to do well for them.
You guys think they could get top six?
No,
They will be challenging for it. They might be like 8 or 7, but if they keep playing to the potential that they have with this coach and the players they got in, I believe they should be hopefully, teetering on European soccer.
I think they're going to be right outside that sixth spot. I had Newcastle a little bit higher, but I haven't been convinced with their performance. We'll get into that later, but they're not bad. I just think Aston Villa is looking a little bit better. Chelsea's, with this week's performance, they're looking like they're challenging. So they're in that mix. With Bowen, I think he was with, who was he with prior to West Ham? He got transferred last year.
That's a
I
good
don't know.
question. I
I
honestly
thought he
don't
was
recall
with not Southampton. I think he's new to the squad. If not, then edit this out. But I was gonna say,
I don't think
uh,
he was that new. I think he's been there for a while, honestly.
He came to West Ham in 2020, but he was in Hull City prior to
Okay,
that.
Whole City. Okay.
then I must be thinking about somebody else. But I was just saying that I think he's.
Oh, the free kick taker.
Is Ezeki or Ezek?
No.
Oh,
Ward
Proud
Prowse.
from Southampton.
Yeah,
James
Ward
Ward's
Prowse.
Proud. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's who I was.
Say it again, Randy. What's the name?
What? I think like James Ward Proud, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, you're close enough.
Yeah,
Never
close
mind. Yeah,
enough. But yeah, I know the guy.
that
He's like a free kick specialist.
yeah, never mind. That's who I was thinking about. I think a few years and he's gonna end up somewhere else. Is this gonna be our Rice? Are we gonna sign him for 115 million one day?
What, Ward Prowse or Bowen?
Bowen.
Prowse. No, but everyone was talking about like when West Ham got him, that was like a steal because he was a great player for Southampton, and everyone was talking about his free kicks. So when West Ham got him, I think that was money. Like they were surprised that a lot of top teams didn't go for him.
He's a fantastic free kick taker, but that's really his best attribute. I just what else does he bring to the table? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe West Ham needed a free kick taker, a corner kick taker. If that's what you need, then great. But I just don't see any other teams. He's not super tall, not the fastest either. Probably not the best tackler in the league, and probably not the best. Maybe a good passer, but you know what I mean. There's
Yeah.
I think he's a really good player for a team like West Ham.
agreed.
I think I don't want to say that's the highest he'll go, but I think he has a really good spot there. I think he'll be there for a few years. He'll be a big name for them. Maybe I could see him go to like a team like United.
United. I could see him at United.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be his team for a while. I mean, it has been, and I think he's going to be their name for something. I don't think he's going to go to a higher level after this. Hope he does. I hope he doesn't hear this.
All right, moving on to the next match, which was Fulham at home taking on Leicester City. Fulham wins this game 2-1. Emil Smith Rowe, 18th minute. Faz ties it up at the 30th minute, and then Alex Iwobi, last goal for the win at the 70th minute.
I mean, I just think it's a good story for Smith Rowe. I know he had a lot of love
Yeah,
from Arsenal fans. You know, they hate to see him go, but I bet you're probably happy being an Arsenal fan that he at least gets to play and he at least made a goal and he's playing well. You probably wish him the best. You wish he was playing for Arsenal, but it's hard getting into that team. You got two ex-Arsenal players. They showed up today at home. It's a good win for Fulham after their loss last week. It was a good showing for them, honestly.
yeah. I think last week, obviously against Man United, I think if that game had ended at a 0-0 draw, that would have been a fair result. So I think they got what they probably were working towards in this game, a little more fluidity, and they actually put it in the back of the net. Like you said, Emil Smith Rowe was a big player for Arsenal. He came up around the same time that Bukayo Saka did, and he was carrying this team on his back when we were basically. Alan said a couple episodes ago, we were a mid-table team. We had a 2 years in a row 8th place finishes from the academy, just like Iwobi, and he really loved this team. But yeah, I'm happy that he's getting time. He's performing like he used to, which unfortunately after his injury, it was so hard for him to break back into the team. I don't think he was getting enough time to get comfortable, and he was being moved around a couple different positions, so it just didn't work out for him at Arsenal once the team evolved so much. But I'm happy for him, and it was a permanent move. So when we play Fulham, he will probably play against us.
Yeah, it's one of those bittersweet moments, especially when it's like an academy player, and they're not playing, and they probably won't make it to the starting 11 or even the bench, but you still don't want to let them go. It's one of those things. It's like, God, just stick with us, and we're a little mascot type thing, but it's their career. You got to let them go, let them play. even if it's a team that you'll be playing twice a year.
Right. Yeah.
But Fulham did good. I this game kind of showed Leicester City how there'll be. I think they didn't try to do that low block like they did against us last week. They were more open to try to attack and win the game, and I think Fulham was actually able to take advantage of that.
I mean, but then again, Fulham was playing at home though, so you have to take that into account. Leicester last week were playing at home. I still remember that goal by the setup to for Smith Rowe. It was a beautiful setup. It was a beautiful pass from the wing to the middle to Rowe, and then it was a nice kick to the goal. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful setup, and I just expect that more from him, you know. But like you said, I think Leicester is just basically playing not to lose, and it sort of showed this game.
That second assist, that was a nice assist. That second goal. And then Traore, I remember we were linked with him and I wanted him for a while. Now just seeing him on the ball, he just looks awkward. I don't know if he's gotten too big, but
I know there was a lot of people. I even think Liverpool were even linked to him as well. But just seeing him, you'd think he'd I don't know, just the muscles and the speed he carried. You'd think he'd be great at certain things, like, you know, on the wing. But I don't know. He's just, I feel like he was a disappointment. You know, coming from the Barcelona academy, I think one has high hopes or high expectations for him, but those expectations have died down tremendously.
you know, now that we're moving on to Man City, it brings a point that I feel like Barcelona kills careers. You're seeing all these players go to Barcelona and then they're going back to their team or moving on after a year or two.
It's just poorly run with all that debt they have and stuff like that, making horrible sales. But you know, that's
Hey, that's La Liga. Let them deal with that. Let's talk about Ipswich, a bigger club than Barcelona.
Ipswich, who caught everyone by surprise, I bet, with that quick fire goal. I think we all agree that it was going to be like a blowout, like Man City 4-5-0. But Ipswich, to get a goal that early, you know, hats off to them. They're showing that they're going to put up a fight. But, you know, they were just bombarded with goals from who else? Erling Haaland.
Yeah, and I gotta say, from this Manchester City game, I mentioned on the last episode, I said Erling Haaland is gonna get 5-6 goals before Solanke gets his first, and he's already at 4.
That's Erling Haaland. He's gonna get you. You put Haaland and Havertz in the same conversation. So let's not. How many does he have?
No, but you said
Kai has how many?
he's got 1
Okay,
more than
that's
Solanke.
Okay, he makes 1 and then we're tied.
But listen, all I said was, you said he was going to win the Golden Boot. You said Solanke would win the Golden Boot, and I said
he was injured. He didn't
I
play
said
last.
by the time he scores his first.
Okay, so how long is he going to be injured for? I said he's probably going to reach 10. I think that's looking more reasonable now with his injury. We'll see how it goes.
It wasn't anything serious. I mean, he's going to play against Newcastle next week.
Are you sure?
Which he's probably going to score like 3 goals.
What, you confirmed it? Here from Alan Alvarez, confirmed. Solanke will play next week.
Here we go.
But anyway, so that's all I said. I did not mention injuries. I just said Haaland's probably gonna get 5 or 6 before Solanke gets his first, and he's already at 4.
They played Ipswich.
I mean, the Golden Boot's gonna look good right now. Haaland scored. Son, who just scored, you know what, like 2 goals. And then you got Chelsea, Manduke, who's just scored a hat trick.
Madueke?
Yeah, Manduke. You know, Wolves here. Wolves sucks. You know, it's a shit place, but whatever. But you know, it's looking pretty good though. The Golden Boot race right now.
See, Haaland will probably score a good 5-6 goals before. No, because they'll play. What time do they play? Well, okay, he scored 4 goals. You said Haaland or Kai, and you can't put those two in the same sentence, in the same level.
I said Haaland and Kai will probably get 5 or 6 before Solanke gets his first.
So that means
you said Haaland and Kai would be the Golden Boot. It would be between them two. That's what you said.
No, I said that Solanke wasn't going to get the Golden Boot.
No, but you're talking about Kai and Haaland. That's who it's going to be between.
I said Kai Havertz is going to get more goals than Solanke. And I think, like I said, I just think that they're going to have like 5-6 goals
each
before. So like Yeah, each.
Okay.
This is what I'm predicting.
So you're
But
you're like 40% there, halfway.
basically, yeah. Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Alan's hoping. He's like, we'll see, we'll see. Fingers crossed. Hopefully something happens to Haaland and he gets injured, so that buys him some time. But
Yeah, you never know. But hey, Holland or not, I don't think anyone's stopping City right now. It looks like they've refocused, and obviously Ipswich, that was, and I don't want to sound rude, but it's probably a guaranteed win, right? If they're going to win any game of the season, it's probably the recently promoted team at the Etihad. One can hope.
You're right.
One can dream. All right, so next game, not super exciting. Relegation battle, according to probably all three of us. Southampton against Nottingham Forest. Forest take this win away from home with a goal from Morgan Gibbs White at the 70th minute. Was Gibbs White not rumored to go to Tottenham before this season?
No, I don't think it was him. It might have been. We were linked with a few Forest players. He might have.
Anyway, he gets a man of the match. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to watch this game, but again, I just don't see either of those teams making it out of the bottom three.
come to think of it, I did have Nottingham Forest being relegated, but watching them play against Southampton, maybe because it's Southampton, they played well. I sort of like second guessing my idea. Maybe they might survive, but then again, it's Southampton. But
Yeah.
it was a good showing from Nottingham Forest, though. I give them
I
that.
think they have a few signings coming in. I don't think they're confirmed yet, but I think they have a few signings coming
But
in.
if those
So
do happen, I think they might have more staying power then.
I think they're staying. We'll see them next season, but barely. I think they're gonna hold on to that, and they'll be in and out, in and out.
Just like last season.
Yeah.
Guess we'll see.
Speaking of we'll see, Spurs against Everton.
All right.
Take it away, Alan.
Oh man, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
I can hear you rubbing your hands.
Did you, did you know Lil Wayne is a Tottenham supporter? I just found that out today.
Oh, really? Wow. So you're trying to get people on the bandwagon because
Yeah.
good luck. Good luck.
Listen, if you don't have a team, check out the score. It's 4-0 Spurs over Everton.
We got Kendrick Lamar.
We got Lil Wayne.
Sorry.
Lil Wayne.
And
I don't even know who Lil Wayne is. He hasn't dropped an album in like forever, all right?
He's about to once we take that trophy home. So 4-0. We beat Everton. It's just one of those games where look, we had a really good performance. I think we dominated the whole game, and I'm not trying to be biased, but I think that goes to, and there's two sides of that argument. I think one of them is being that the Spurs we actually played really well, but then I think Everton too. I think their fans should be worried with that team, how that team is being running these last few games. I mean, from last year to this year too. Bissouma, I think he scored I think that was his first goal for Tottenham. Beautiful goal. Everything was clicking. Wilson Odobert made his first appearance for us. He's a 19-year-old that we signed from Burnley. We didn't know too much about him, but there was all these highlights videos that came out, and I was watching them. I was like, oh, this guy's going to be pretty good, But they were just Burnley playing championship football. But no, he turned out to be a good signing. It's raw, but you can see that there's potential there. But like I said, I think Everton did help us beat them. Yeah, hopefully this 4-0 scoreline keeps going. Next week we have Newcastle, and I think it's going to be a little similar. So we'll see.
Your new players do have potential. They actually showed up, and I was really surprised on that. I believe I even mentioned like that left wing, that left side of the field. They were just that whole unit. They played well. That's where they were like more dangerous on.
Right, that was Udogie and Odobert.
Yeah, and those two played well together, and I just think that side was their most dangerous side. And then you had Johnson on the right hand side, yeah, and he was and they're young players and they showed promise. Maybe Everton makes people look better, but I mean they played well. If Pickford didn't make that mistake, it probably could have been a different game. But after that mistake, it just went downhill for them. I just think it was too late for them, and then Spurs were in control. They already had a 2-0 lead. And from there on, it was their game to lose, and they didn't lose it. They were focused, and they just kept piling more and more goals. And, and that's what you're supposed to do at home. Build your confidence for the next game against Newcastle, which is going to be a tougher game, in my opinion, than Everton.
There's going to be sparks at that Newcastle game. That's always a fun matchup. There was a lot, as we mentioned before, there was a lot of contenders for the highlight game for our prediction game, and I think that next one's going to be that one was definitely up there as a possible one. But bringing it back to the Spurs Everton game, I'll give Spurs credit. They did what they were supposed to do. Everton are basically bleeding right now. Spurs, no mercy. They did what they had to do, get their confidence, put a little bit of goal difference on the table. At the same time, it's Everton, man. I wouldn't get too carried away.
No, of course not. You know,
But a win's a win, and depends the
Yeah, yeah.
scoreline. It carries momentum. It'll carry over, hopefully.
it's just nice seeing that younger talent that we've signed, those 18-year-old, 19-year-olds, be on the field, and you can see them have chemistry with those senior players. So you're like, okay, yeah, of course, we're beating down Everton, and like you said, who hasn't? But
But that's what you're supposed to do.
exactly, but it's a good showing. Exactly, so it's not like we went backwards. We're doing what we have to do.
Yeah.
No one's surprised by it, but you put on these new young guys on the field and you were still effective. So that's what I can take away from this victory.
And they weren't afraid. They went after it. Those young guys with confidence. And that's what you want to see. A lot of people are going to be scared, but they showed confidence and they played.
You're pumping me up, Randy. Let's go get some Spurs jerseys.
Well, I'm pumping you up to tear you down next week.
Oh, okay.
Let's go.
Oh,
Come on,
okay.
got to get you high so when you lose, it's more satisfying for me.
No, you're trying to set the evidence. So you're like, no, well, I told you they were good players. That's why you guys beat us. See, I know what you're doing.
Yeah, good luck. It ain't going to
Give me my
happen.
crown.
Let's see if you can get past
Give me my
Newcastle first.
All right. So moving to probably the most important game of the match week, Aston Villa, Unai Emery taking on his previous club Arsenal. Man, did you guys get to watch this game?
No, I tried watching it. I was on the road, but it was on my phone.
This was a good game.
Ollie Watkins, man, talk about Solanke not finishing. Jeez.
It looks like he's ready to come to Arsenal. It's like he knows we're gonna pick him up, so he's like, I'm not gonna hurt myself for the future.
He's going to let me lower my value real quick so Arsenal can afford me.
Man, this was a good game. Super frustrating from the Arsenal side, probably from the Villa side too. I mean, like they had a couple of chances and they just one was a clear miss from Ollie Watkins. Second one was a fantastic save from David Raya. Basically point blank open goal, and Raya still gets a hand on it. But yeah, what a good game. I knew that this was going to be mentally tough on Arsenal. Villa having done the double on us last season, which basically I think second game where Villa beat us, that was probably when the title was. We were basically took our hand off the title.
You lost it.
Yeah. I think that was the game. They had beat us once already, and we should have learned from our mistakes. And I think this, like I said, that's what made this one so difficult. Just because we knew how tricky Villa can be in all aspects. I mean, Ollie Watkins, fantastic finisher. They have a lot of pace on the wings.
And they got a good goalkeeper too.
Yeah, Onana and Tielemans, fantastic midfielders, and then the goalkeeper. They have super well-rounded team, and it's super mentally tough for Arsenal to kind of get over that hump. But at the end of the day, I think everyone was screaming for Trossard to come into the game, and Arteta mentioned that Martinelli and Trossard, obviously, they share that same position. So he has more of like that ability to create chances. He also has that technical ability where Martinelli's more of like speed. And when Trossard scores the goal, he's almost like looking. You could almost tell like I should be starting, and I think he probably will start next game.
Right.
It must be tough.
Is that why he didn't celebrate?
I think that's what it was.
Kind of like sending a message.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I think I saw stats. He has better stats than Martinelli.
Yeah. The only thing is that when he starts, he kind of doesn't have the same impact. And when you need to open a game up, he comes in and he always makes a difference. So it's hard to start him, and then it's hard to also leave him out of that starting 11. We thought that Villa was probably going to have a little more possession, and it kind of was back and forth for a bit, but Arteta probably thought that Martinelli's speed was going to make more of a difference. And the issue, I think, we let go of Xhaka last season, the season prior to last, and we also have not been playing Zinchenko. And during that 22-23 season, they kind of made the little triangle that kind of kept rotating. Xhaka would kind of make runs in behind, which would make space for Martinelli. And then Zinchenko would go into the midfield, which to cover Xhaka defensively. And that allowed Martinelli a lot of freedom. And you kind of see the same thing on the right-hand side with Saka, Odegaard, and Ben White. They kind of like create a little triangle. And I think Martinelli doesn't have that with Rice and Timber, who's more defensive minded. So I think that's what's keeping him from performing at that high level again. But I think Trossard, he made a statement and he's gonna get this start next week, which should be a good game too against Brighton, and hopefully it makes a difference.
Hats off to him for making a smart, good substitution, and it paid off. You with a 2-0 win.
Yep, he opened once it opened it up. I think that's what allowed the second goal. Obviously, when you get that one goal, and I was surprised. I thought Villa would come out more once we scored the first goal, but it seemed like they were just going to sit back and wait to hit us on the counter. And obviously, it hurt them in the end. But we also saw our new signing, Calafiori, came in about 15 minutes left in the game, and he looked good. He looked sharp. Tried to get him the ball. Was asking for it. He got himself in the middle of the field a lot. He looked good. I'm looking forward to seeing more from him. I think he does play similarly to Timber, so that's going to be a good battle on that left defensive side of the field to see who's going to end up solidifying their starting spot.
You think Arsenal won this game, or was it just Martinez who failed Aston Villa?
No. I think Arsenal created the chances. And they were like clear goals. I mean, on the second goal, Martinez should have gotten a better hand on that.
He had a little weak wrist on it, yeah.
He was stretching for it too, so you know what I mean. It could have gone anywhere. That Party hit that ball pretty hard. So I think you create the chances, you take the shot, and then the rest is almost like a lottery. But we had so many bodies in there, and they were sitting deep too. So if he didn't get to see the shot in time to be able to reach for it better, then that's on us and that's on them as well. Good win. Good for morale. Undefeated, 0 goals conceded. So we move.
Yeah, good win over a good team too. It's not like it's
It's not Everton, right?
I mean, we if we were playing, if I would have scored another 2 goals, but I mean, you want to only score 2. That's okay. Good luck trying to beat us.
We'll see. This game's going to be spicy. The Northumberland Derby is coming up soon too.
Yeah.
Right after the international break.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Bournemouth at home to Newcastle, 1-1. Newcastle seems like they play better with a red card, but they were not able to get much out of this. Halftime 1-0 to Bournemouth, and then Newcastle do come away, but at least a point away from home. Did you guys get to watch this game?
I got
saw
to
the
see
highlights.
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
That one call, I mean, I think Bournemouth should have won this game. A little bit of a controversial call at the end where they called it a handball, but I don't know. It seemed like it was shoulder. Surprisingly, Newcastle, these last 2 games, I mean, I know they played a man down the last game, but you played Southampton. I think being a man down shouldn't be the worst thing, to be able to pull off a win. And then coming here to Dortmund, unless Dortmund is just that team, unless they're proving that they're here to stay. But I think I expected a little bit more from Newcastle.
I think everyone expects a little more from Newcastle, honestly.
Right, and they did fight back to get the draw at the end. You still expect more against the Bournemouth side. Who knows what they'll be in the table? I don't expect them above 10.
Yeah, and without a Solanke, they still managed to score without him. And I feel like, yeah, they got raw 3 points, honestly, against Newcastle. That would have boosted their morale so much. But yeah, that controversial call, they made the wrong call. You get positives out of it if you're Bournemouth against especially a strong team like Newcastle.
Yeah, they are being a little more lax about handballs this season. I think there's been already a couple calls where it's a little different from last. But all right, moving on to this thriller. Wolves at home taking on Chelsea, a visiting Chelsea team. This we spoke about in the last episode. This was going to be one of those games where Chelsea, it was a statement game, right? If Wolves were to take this one, you would consider Wolves to be a competitor for top half of the table. If Chelsea were to win this, you would say, okay, well maybe they're going somewhere, get their season back on track. They could improve on last season. And I don't think anyone was expecting this score line. The game went back and forth from 1 goal, and then the other team would score. It was at 2-2, and then all of a sudden it just completely changed.
I agree, man. Watching the game, I thought I was going to be back and forth. Like Alan and I think we all agree that we thought Chelsea was going to squeak by with the win, and it looked like that in the first half. But then the second half, it just, went out the window. Chelsea just opened the floodgates, and 4 goals in the second half. It was totally different. But I could say Wolves they played excellent in the first half. I actually thought they were going to pull it out.
Yeah, it was pretty back and forth in the first half. It was a fun game to watch, and then like you said, I think they played well.
The Wolves looked very competitive that first half. They actually looked like the better team. Oh, what's that saying? Like, oh, you had us in the first half, and then the second half, Chelsea just took over. Cole Palmer just did his thing, and
Yeah, 3 assists, 1 goal.
you can kind of see what Chelsea can be. But this is also kind of like that Everton game. They did what they had to do. If Chelsea is Chelsea with the amount of player and talent that's on that team, like it's surprising, but at the same time, it's not surprising.
It's expected.
It's expected, yeah, but it's kind of a good showing of what they can be, and if they keep this up, then yeah, they're gonna be a scary team actually.
I will say the goals that they scored once they started racking up the goals, it just seemed a little chaotic at the Wolves defense and the attack, and it seems like they were just kind of playing like back and forth, give me the ball, pass here, and then all of a sudden they just found themselves in front of goal. Palmer with the chip too. I mean, you can't say it was all it wasn't lucky by any means. But it looks like they're starting to gel now, and like Randy mentioned, I think their manager has condensed his starting team. He said he's got about 24 players that he's counting on, and then the other 15 are training by themselves, basically. So it seems, regardless of how many people are on the list for Chelsea, it seems that they have a team that they're counting on keeping already.
And I mean, it's good for João Felix too, just, to come back from loan and to have a goal. It's good for his mentality and stuff like that.
That Pedro Neto Felix connection.
Oh yeah. João Felix got his goal, assisted by Pedro Neto, fellow Portuguese, and the two new signings coming together. Madueke, obviously calling Wolverhampton a shithole or something like
Yeah.
that.
He was on the wrong account, right? It was supposed to be a private
Yeah.
message, but
It was supposed to be the rivals on the pitch account, I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
But
sent it to us, and I was like, I didn't get anything. He was like, oh wait, let me check.
and I love it. At the end, the chant was like, "Yeah, he's right. This place is shit." But
The good thing about Chelsea and what they should be happy about is that you have a manager like he's kind of put his foot down. He said, "This is what I'm gonna do. This is my starting, 11. I don't care what your name is. It's whoever's fits my team, my style." He kind of proves that, and I think sometimes you need that type of leadership to just lead a team. And hopefully they don't keep this up, and hopefully it's just a 1-game fluke, and we can just go back to being shithouse Chelsea. But we'll see.
I mean, this is sort of like Eric De Hagen. Nobody knew who this guy was. He's not a big name like Pochettino. He was just some guy from Leicester in the division below, and now he's like, doing this. I guess it's somewhat a surprise from like this no-name coach that a lot of people aren't familiar with.
He was under Pep Guardiola, so you gotta watch out. I mean, so was I, kind of. I played with Man City once on FIFA.
Yeah. This is what I mentioned before the season started. This was kind of like a low-key manager position for him. Low-key signing from Chelsea. And I think that's why it was going to work out. I think they probably went for someone who could do the job quietly and not call attention to a highlighted name like Antonio Conte or Potter or, anybody else. It was kind of low key, so I feel like he could work a little more in peace. You know what I mean? He's not so in the on TV all the time. Comments, etc. It wasn't a big name that was going to be chased around,
Right.
and I think it's working for them.
I mean, it's just one game, but we'll see what the next game holds. For those fans who have Chelsea, it's promising. It's getting them excited.
And they didn't look that bad against City, man. 2-0 against the current champions. And City, obviously, you saw what they did to Ipswich. And it is Ipswich, recently promoted team. They don't have the resources that Chelsea have, but they didn't play that bad. But yeah, moving on. The last game of the day.
A great way to finish off the week.
Did you start Monday off with a smile, Randy?
I'm smiling every day, except when we lose. But yeah, I'm happy. To be completely honest, it does seem weird to watch this Liverpool play because I'm so used to that Gino press. You lose the ball and everyone's like attacking to try to get the ball back. And this game was more calm, more relaxed, more possession based control. And it's just, I have to remind myself that this isn't a Jurgen Klopp team anymore. It's a slot team. And, everyone has a different way of playing, so you just got to get used to it a little bit. It's not as exciting as it was last season, but to get 2 goals at home, I think it's a good showing. He's got 2 wins, and that hasn't been done in in a long time. Honestly, our possession was 92%, and that's the highest it's ever been since I think 2003 when these stats were being taken into account. It's winning football, but I think it lacks more entertainment from my perspective. But a good showing against Brentford, which is what is expected, honestly, a win.
It seemed like Brentford was putting up a little bit of a fight, though.
Yeah, it looked like it. Yeah, me too. I was like in and out, but yeah, I think solid win. Obviously, Luis Diaz and Salah put Liverpool 2 up against Brentford. The first goal in the first half, second goal by Mo Salah in the second half. It's good for Salah. You know, he's on a scoring run. He's hard to stop, and it may be different, but yeah, this is a solid win against a pretty decent side. I mean, Brentford. I don't think they're a huge threat, but you know, they're definitely a team that can.
Make things difficult.
Yeah, they can make things difficult, and they have a good striking partnership. Wisa and Mbomo. Obviously, Ivan Tony not getting on right now, but they can still make it difficult for you. I think this is a solid win, and considering they're still kind of getting used to this new style football under Slot and his new team, which we're gonna call them the Slots, right?
No, you can call them that. I call them Liverpool.
Slots.
The Reds.
The Slots, right?
No.
All right, so let's go. Now we'll be looking at next week's game. First game, Saturday, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. Arsenal at home to Brighton. This should be a pretty good game. Very strong squads. Brighton, you know, they've been scoring goals for fun so far. Arsenal, best defense in the league last season, so it should be a good matchup. Where do you guys expect this game to end?
I want Brighton to come out and do their thing, but I don't think they're going to have enough to take those 3 points home. I think it's going to be. I think Arsenal beat them by a goal, whether that be 3-2 or 2-1.
Arsenal playing at home, it's different. Playing at the Emirates, they're gonna win it 2-0, 2-0.
Okay, well, thank you. Then we'll also have Brentford and Southampton.
What's your thoughts on it, though?
Well, we'll get to it. We're going to do the predictions. I'll keep you guys in suspense until then. All right, so Brentford, this is going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Brentford at home to Southampton. I expect Brentford to take this one. I don't know by how many goals, but I think Brentford's going to come out on top. With this one.
Same. I don't think
agree.
Southampton. Southampton might be. I see them having the type of season that who was it last year who had the worst Premier League season?
Luton City, Luton Town.
No, I can't remember. But anyways,
Sheffield.
Yes,
yeah, they had like
Sheffield.
the lowest points, right, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think. I think they're gonna have very few points this season. So yeah, I think Brentford's gonna take this one.
All right. Next game, the same time. We have a couple games starting at the same time. We have Everton, Bournemouth. Everton at home to Bournemouth. This should be good to see which team is worse, essentially.
Which sadly, it's going to have to be Everton. I just think Bournemouth is
Who
going to
knows?
do better.
This is the chance for them to at least get some points on the board. If they're going to have any chance this season to stay up. These are the games that you're going to have to.
Especially if you're at home.
Yeah, at home. Then we have 10 a.m. Ipswich versus Fulham. Sorry, Alan, were you going to say something about the Everton game?
No, I think it'll probably be a tie. I think it's going to be a tie.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see it at 0-0.
Yeah.
All right, so then we also have Ipswich Town at home to Fulham. Should be a fun one too. Fulham playing pretty well, and Ipswich at home. Obviously, they have not gotten a win yet, so they'll be hungry to come out on top, get some points on the board as well.
I think Ipswich get their first victory of the season. They just had to go play Liverpool and Man City. They're probably used to the high tempo, and I think they're going to come out here and squeeze one out.
Yeah, I think third time's a charm, honestly. It's hard to play against Man City and Liverpool to start your season, but they're playing at home. I believe they should be able to pull out a victory against Fulham. Maybe like a 1-0 or 2-0 or 2-1, but I believe they should pull something out.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to create something. I'd like to see them win, get their first win at home. Should be exciting.
Yeah, we got to make, what's his name, Ed Sheeran happy.
Yeah. All right, so then we also have Leicester at home with Aston Villa visiting. I'm going to say Villa are going to take this one. Obviously, lost to Arsenal was probably disappointing, and then I'm sure they're looking to get back to their winning ways.
I agree. I think Aston Villa will be able to pull a victory out against Leicester.
Yeah. All right. And we'll also have Nottingham Forest against Wolves. I'm going to say Wolves takes this one.
I think I'm going to go with Nottingham Forest.
Okay.
What? How do you call it?
Nothing in them.
Nothing in the forest.
Nothing in the forest. I think
There's
I
nothing
think
there.
they're gonna
There's nothing there.
yeah, they're building up a little bit of confidence, and I think they'll win by a goal.
Yeah.
I have to agree. I feel like Nottingham is going to be able to
Who?
has Nottingham.
Okay.
I feel like it's going to be a draw. I feel it's going to be an excellent game. I feel there's going to be a goal scored, but I just think they're both going to end up being a draw.
All right. And then the last game of Saturday, this is actually going to be, I'm glad that they didn't put this also at 10 a.m. This is going to be West Ham at home taking on Manchester City. West Ham obviously coming off of that win. Manchester City also coming off of a win. They'll be visiting. Do you guys think West Ham have a chance at all?
I think so. Maybe for a tie, not for a victory, but I think they have a chance for a tie.
When they play defensively, I mean, Mikel Antonio's he holds up the ball so well. He kind of sits up top and he's so physical. Kind of tosses him the ball. He holds it up, passes it back, and then makes a run. So it's something similar to that we see in Liverpool sometimes. They're so good on the counter. They're good defensively as well. I'm hoping that they can take a few points off of City because they're just unstoppable.
Yeah. It's
I agree. I feel like like Alan said, I just don't see West Ham being able to get the victory, but I do see them holding out for a draw somehow. We at least get Man City 1 point, which helps out, but I don't see West Ham being able to win.
I think that's more of us being wishful thinkers.
Come on, West Ham.
All right. So then that's the last game of Saturday. Then we'll move on to Sunday. Chelsea at home, 8:30 a.m., Stamford Bridge against Crystal Palace. Let's see if Chelsea can keep up what they did in this game today. I think they'll be able to win, but not by as
6.
big of a margin as it was today. Yeah, I think maybe 2-0, maybe 2-1.
Yeah, I don't think they'll have a 6-2 showing on this game. Crystal Palace hasn't looked all that great. They do,
No.
but they just feel like they can't finish out those games. So yeah, I think Chelsea.
It's like more and more I see it, I feel like Nottingham Forest is going to survive, and it's going to be Crystal Palace that might be the one getting relegated.
Yeah, it's been a tough first 2 games for Palace.
Yeah, I mean, but I do think Chelsea, with the confidence they have, you got your stars with confidence. I feel like they should be able to pull out a victory, maybe a shutout like 2-0 or something. But Chelsea should be able to get the 3 points out of this.
All right, now we're moving to the last 2 games. This is actually at the same time, 8:30 a.m. at St. James Park. Newcastle taking on Spurs. I'll let Alan do the speaking, but let's save your prediction till the end.
And don't say 20-0, okay?
Oh, well, then what am I going to say then? No, we have to come out, St. James Park and do our thing because last few times we've been there, we've been slaughtered, and I hate it.
Yeah,
Because we walked in with so much confidence, and it's just been we get manhandled in that stadium, and
I think that's you have to be careful at Newcastle. You have to be very careful.
and if they beat us wearing those ugly jerseys,
The thing is, Newcastle is so inconsistent. You don't know which one you might get. This Sunday, they might show up and they'll actually put up a fight against Spurs, make it competitive.
Yeah, I mean it's been a good matchup between these 2 teams for at least like the last 2 seasons.
yeah,
Arsenal didn't come away with any points at St. James Park last season. We lost by some sketchy goal, but a win's a win, a goal's a goal. So it's a hard place to go.
it's I don't want to say it seems like because it's so early in the season, but it does seem like they lost a little steam. I had them in my top 6,
Yeah.
but their 2 victories have been a little worrisome, or victory or draw, whatever.
Yeah, victory and a draw, I believe.
Obviously, I've never been to St. James Park, but I've heard that the away supporters usually get put up pretty high up at the stadium, which they're not supposed to do. I think one of the rules and regulations is that the supporters have to be visible on TV, which is why when you see them like at the Emirates or any other stadium, you usually see the supporters on one end or the other in one entire section. But the St. James Park, that's not the case. And I don't know how they're able to get away with that, but that's another thing that makes it difficult to go and play away. Sometimes you don't hear your supporters, you don't get that little support. But Newcastle is hard. It's hard. I remember when they were fighting to get into the Champions League top 4 spot. We went over to play, and this was the 22-23 season. We were basically fighting for any point to see if we could end up getting the title against City. And I remember the game started, and Newcastle had their fans like flying all these black and white flags, and you just knew like this is not a game you're gonna come out with 3 points. It's a tough place, but it should be a good game. I'm excited for this. I'm gonna watch this one.
Good. Take some notes. See how it's done. You're like,
Yeah.
you're gonna say, "Wow, these future champs are
Yeah, what future champs? Newcastle more likely.
Tiger Cup.
Tiger Cup."
All right, and now we move to the last game of Sunday, September 1st. There's going to be El Clasico of England,
The two best teams.
most decorated teams, Manchester United against Liverpool. Randy, don't give us your prediction yet, but what do you expect to see here?
I mean, I believe if history serves us right, we have still outscored Manchester United terribly in these past games under Jurgen Klopp. I believe we should continue it. I mean, we're playing away, but I believe that we should be able to pull a win out and continue to add the misery to Manchester United. I just don't think Manchester United is. They're still a new team, still new players, still gelling. Their confidence is a little down since they lost to Brighton, and I believe since Liverpool has won these two games by 2 goals, I think they have the confidence high up, and I believe that we're in a better place than Manchester United. You know, they're our rivals. We're in a better position. We have our star core team. I believe we should pull out with a win, save the score line for the end. But I believe it should be a good game. Honestly, it's a rival game.
Yeah, it should be a good game. The one thing I'll say is United are not looking good, but you know what? It's always hard to also go to Old Trafford and Manchester United. It's almost like they forget how bad they could be playing, and they put up a fight against Arsenal and Liverpool always. Yeah, I mean, last season I think Arsenal was coming off of beating West Ham 5-0, Chelsea 5-0. I think he was maybe Wolves or Brighton would beat them 4-0. And we go to Manchester United, who was struggling. They basically had no defenders that weren't injured, and we still came out with a 1-0 win, which was a lot of people were disappointed. But at the stage of the season, a win was a win. But it's always going to be difficult. But
I agree.
Manchester United are going to put up a fight, but I think the slots are going to take this one.
Yeah, those dirty slots.
1-0. I'm going to say 1-0.
Ooh.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Alan?
the score line's gonna be a lot tighter. I think 1-0 is it's a good.
1-0 to the slots.
Maybe it's a 1-1.
You know, okay,
Maybe-
you're saying 1-1.
I think, and it's not Slot going to Old Trafford, new coach, new system.
He's yet to experience this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, they're both, Eric Teghog and Slot. Didn't they coach in the same league?
That's true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe they know each other's tactics, and
True. Very, very
We'll
good
s-
insight.
we'll see what happens. But I think it's gonna be closer than it looks. Because looking at it real quick, I'll be like, oh, Liverpool, of course. But I think United has something to prove, and I think they're gonna come out,
Yeah.
with their hair on fire.
I mean, they tend to show up at Old Trafford. You know, depending how
You
bad
know-
their season is at
Yeah.
home, they just they forget about it, and it's like a championship game. They just show up. But I think Liverpool will pull it out.
But yeah, I mean, Manchester United just lost to Brighton. They don't want another embarrassment. I think they'll put up a fight like it's a cup game, a win or nothing. But that could cost them too. So, all right, we'll see. So let's move on to predictions. Let's look at the table. First of all, coming off of week one, table I was sitting with 4 points. Alan and Randy sharing the second or third position with 1 point. And if we look at the predictions, first one was Alan's, predicted a 3-0 win over Everton, and Tottenham scored just one too many. So he will get a point for predicting the winner, but not the score line. So that leaves you at 2. And then for the Aston Villa game versus Arsenal, you predicted a 2-2 draw. Fortunately for you, Arsenal came out on top, so no points for you. So you'll stay at 2. Then we look at my predictions. Obviously, this was the highlight game, so I only get to predict the one game. You can double your points, but you also risk not winning anything. I did predict a 2-1 win to Villa. I'm sorry, a 2-1 win to Arsenal. And we won 2-0. So guessing the winner, not the score, I'll get a point. And since the highlight game is double, 2 points, that puts me at 6. Yeah. And then with Randy's prediction, you predicted a 3-0 win over Brentford. Liverpool scored 2 goals.
One shot.
Brentford 0. So you'll get a point for that one. And then you also predicted a 2-1 win to Villa, which was incorrect. So you'll get 0 points for that. So 1 point total. You're 2 on the table. And that leaves us me with 6 points, first place. And you and Alan sharing that second, third place with 2 points. So let's move on to predictions for this week. So first game, it's going to be Arsenal versus Brighton, 7:30 a.m. And I am going to say that Arsenal are going to win this one by 3-1. I think Brighton are a good attacking team, and I think they'll get one. But I think overall they're being so open and attacking minded. I think Arsenal are going to be able to put a couple in the back of the net. So I'm going to say 3-1 to the Arsenal at home. Now we will move on to the next game, which
doesn't matter.
Tottenham. Tottenham at St. James Park, Newcastle United at home to Spurs. 8:30 a.m. Sunday, September 1st. Alan, what's your prediction?
How many goals are we allowed to score? We're going in there with some vengeance. We've just been beat up too many times in that stadium at St. James. So I think we're gonna come out with this game 3-1, same score line. I think we're gonna take it to them.
You said 3-1?
Yep.
That's ballsy, bro. But go ahead. You believe in your Spurs.
The champs are here.
All right. And then we move on to the last game of Sunday, September 1st. This is United at home against Liverpool. Randy, what's your prediction for this one?
Liverpool will pull it out with a 2-1 win against Man U.
This is your last chance.
I'm confident in my team, unlike you people. But yes, 2-1.
All right. So lots of games that were contenders for the highlight game of the week. But of course, being one of the biggest games in England, I think we've decided to make the highlight game for this weekend the Manchester United and Liverpool game. So that means that Randy has a chance to either double his points based on his prediction or risk losing all of them with an incorrect prediction. Randy, you gave us your prediction. You said United 1, Liverpool 2.
Yep.
Alan, what do you got?
You go first.
He's scared.
Wow.
Scared.
All right. I'll go. I think this game will be a 2-2 draw.
2-2. Okay. I'll tell you something. I had a score in mind, and until you said that, now I'm second guessing it, but I think I'm gonna stick to it just to be honorable. Just
Jumping on the bandwagon.
I thought about it, but so I was gonna say also 2-1 to Liverpool. But as you said, a draw, I was like, this could be a draw. But I'm going to stick to it. So I'm going to say 2-1, Liverpool taking this one.
Pat, that's how you're my favorite.
Like I said, I think United have a lot to prove. And it seems like they always muster up that strength for one game. And then they go on a little streak and then muster up again. And they're on this roller coaster ride. And I think that's why I don't think they'll beat them. But I think they'll put up a good fight here at Old Trafford.
Jurgen's with Gino Press, which is always rushing, like heavy metal, always running. This Liverpool under Slot is more possession and control based. So I just don't see them making those mistakes that the old Liverpool used to do, which we used to get caught on the counterattack. We're going to be more well prepared and play defense. This Liverpool is going to be able to pull out that win.
We'll see.
All right. Should be a good one. Cool. So we have over an hour. So I think this is a good place to end.
Well, that's it, guys. Thank you for joining us on Rivals on the Pitch podcast. Our time's up. Hope you enjoyed the show. And remember to follow us on Instagram, Rivals on the Pitch. We'll go over next week's Match Week 3 games, and we'll continue with our prediction mini league. I'm Randy.
I'm Alan.
And I'm top of the league.
For now. I heard match wieners.